Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Zero Gravity Gaming Gold League. It's, well, kind of the last week of the regular season. Depends on how you classify Gauntlet, I suppose. But I am MXL, joined by Convoster and Taco Cat for tonight's breakdown of what we're expecting to see in both tonight's series and across the league, realistically. How are you both doing on what's bound to be an eventful night?
I'm COVID free, so Pog.
Woo! Let's go. I am excited. I can't wait to see some quality League of Legends, that's for sure.
Quality. Yeah,
Quality.
That's one way to phrase it. We'll see what happens. This series tonight that we do have lined up will be interesting, to say the least. We'll have to see how that comes through. But we've got some interesting stuff going on tonight. Of course, it is the last week of the regular season. We have the benefit of some interesting playoff situations that can come through. Of note, there's one undefeated team left, so I'm interested to see how that's going to play into things here tonight. Aether is the only one that makes sense. Like, there's two 5-1 teams, whatever, that's fine. But Astral's weird. There's 3 5-1s and 2 1-5s. What's, like, just looking at the standings right now, anything that we should be keeping an eye out for tonight based off of where teams are standing in currently?
So the matchup that I'm kind of looking at is a big one for me. Is looking like in Astral we have NSG Amethyst and Shining Light Guardians. That is 5th and 6th. They're both 2 and 4. I don't know how the point system really works, but they're that's 5th and 6th seed. That means that determines what slot you have in Gauntlet. So that one's pretty important. All the other ones are kind of like, I don't think they'll really affect anything because none of the teams are like very close in the standing. So,
I personally, when it comes to the Astral schedule, I'm actually very interested to see Tenebris Esports versus Kraken. Just because out of all the 3 games from the #1 spot, that one seems to be the closest one. I'm pretty sure that Lambda going up against Revolution Reimagine, which is the team in 8th place, it's probably gonna get 2 games for free. Or, who never knows? You never know with League of Legends. But at the end of the day, the closest one, it's definitely going to be that Tenebris Esports Eternity against Kraken, to see whether they get 2 victories or just 1, just to see whether they're going to get 3rd seed or maybe even bump up to 2nd, or who knows, even 1st seed. So that's what I'm really looking out for.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited to see what's going to end up happening here tonight. There's a lot of fun situations that can come through. Astral is an absolute mess right now, to put it lightly. So we'll start there as, we are not going to be streaming Astral's games tonight, unfortunately. But last week we saw Revolution Reimagined. Taco was hyped about this a little bit, more so for their plat team, but I'm still going to, throw the Revolution out there. Rev Reimagine taking the 2-0 over NSG Amethyst, who was 2 and 3 coming into that matchup. Rev 0-5. That's a pretty big first win here, no?
Yeah, that's a pretty big upset. Rev, I mean, again, I was looking more at the plat team, but now seeing at this, it seems like all the Rev teams that I've been looking at are at an uptick. I don't know, maybe they put something different in the water. I don't know what they're doing over there. It might be a little sauce. Might need to drug test some people, but both of these teams, the Rev Reimagine and the Rev Plat team, have been taking some pretty big games off of teams that they probably shouldn't have. So that's really exciting to see.
Yeah, that's a good point that you bring up. I mean, I feel like as much of a kick does for going up an uptick, I think it's a little bit too late, finally going up in the second to last match before Gauntlet. But who knows? Maybe we'll see something cool in the Gauntlet or something. We will find out.
Yeah, I'm excited to see, because the Gauntlet is always weird, right? You always end up with the chance for a team to kind of make those miracle runs. And Rev, maybe this uptick is right at the right time. If they can kind of wiggle their way through the gauntlet, find their way into playoffs as a result, that could be a pretty big swing for them. So I'm excited to see what's going to end up happening there. Dorado Gaming Lambda, Tenebris Esports Eternity, the match to watch last week, realistically. Dorado came in 4-1. Tenebris was 5-0. Dorado takes the win, so now they have that head-to-head as well. It was a 2-1. I don't know if you guys got a chance to look at the series at all, but pretty big battle for the top of the table there.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I didn't really... I mean, I knew this game was happening, and I knew this was going to be, like, really big playoff contention. But, again, I could have seen this going either way. Both of these teams were on fire. Again, this is the Dorado. Yeah, I mean, again, I love everybody on the Dorado team. I've played with them all. They're all great people. Nagini, top lane, Cooper, Chitin, Eddie, and Kobita. Kind of like standout names in the gold scene. Everybody knows them. Everybody loves them. They're coming off of a championship over in Vast last split. So this is a really big win for them. Obviously, they would have loved the 2-0 to continue their 2-0 streak from the first, what is it? Like, this is the... So they lost... What is it? They lost week 2 to Going Ghost, but other than that, it was all 2-0s besides this night. But again, not surprised they dropped a game because Tenebris is a hell of a team, but I'm really happy to see Dorado, sitting at first.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited to see it as well. I mean, there's going to be some interesting stuff. Game differential is generally the first tiebreaker we go to, just because single round robin head-to-head kind of feels bad, in my opinion. Yeah. But so right now they are sitting pretty. They have that one game advantage as a result of all of those 2-0s, like you were mentioning. So Tenebris, even if they win tonight, it's not really in their own hands. Dorado has to at least drop a game to Rev. And even then, I think because of the head-to-head, they still have first. So the only way Tenebris gets first now is if they beat Conduit Kraken and and Dorado loses to Revolution Reimagined. So again, some really interesting scenarios that can come.
So another interesting topic sorry, I'm just looking at it now. So Gauntlet is 4th through 7th, correct? In the standings? I think only 8th is removed.
Maybe. You would hope I'd know this.
I was gonna say.
Listen.
So if it is 8th to removed, I think the 2 series I'm gonna want to watch in this division are Rev versus Dorado and Going Ghost and Off the Za, because I'm pretty sure if Rev at minimum takes a game off Dorado and Off the Za gets 2-0'd, I think they squeak into 7th and squeak into the Gauntlet.
So it's because ODZ has the head-to-head now, right? So Rev has to win if that's the case.
Okay,
so there's a lot of, like, 8 versus 1 for a chance at Gauntlet and for like that's a hell of a matchup.
Yeah,
so we'll get into all of the games for tonight in just a sec. But Shining Light Guardians, Going Ghost took the 2-0 last week. Kind of to be expected. You mentioned it. Going Ghost is another one of those 5-1 teams in this group. Pretty strong, no?
Yeah, really, really strong, really solid team. I mean, they're the only people who beat Dorado, and Dorado's sitting at first. So I mean, kind of self-explanatory there.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that I can really add to that other than what Taco Cat said. They seem like a very solid team, and the fact that you're able to take names from the top means that you're a very extreme contender. Now, that also means that you're a very coin-flippy team, so it really depends if they're on a good day or in a bad day that you will see a result.
Well, and of note, Going Ghost has not lost a series since week 1, so they're the definition of momentum. They lost the opening series against Tenebris, which is their only loss this season. They've 2-0'd every other set, I think, or no, 2-1'd every other set. Yeah, there's a mess there, but basically they're the weakest of the 3 5-1 teams. They have the lowest game differential at a +6, so whatever.
It's kind of funny. The first 3 teams, their only losses are to the other teams in that top three.
Yes.
So Going Ghost only lost to Neverus. Neverus only lost to Dorado, and Dorado only lost to Going Ghost. So
Yeah.
that's crazy.
And of note, even with that, game differential is the tiebreaker. So the head-to-heads there will hopefully not actually be cyclical, because that's when it gets real messy. If the head-to-heads are all even, the game differentials are all even, that's when you start going into like game wins, and that feels really weird. So we'll hopefully be able to avoid that tonight. We'll keep you updated on standings over the course of the night. Conduit Esports Kraken off the Za. Streamed game last week. Conduit taking the 2-1.
Oh, this game.
ODZ, realistically, the fact they took a game is kind of impressive, no?
Yeah, I mean, I think Kraken is a really solid team. Again, I'm kind of surprised where they're laying at standing-wise, but again, the top three are really good teams as well. So I think they're happy with fourth. But again, off the Za taking a game is, in and of itself, really, really big for them.
Yeah, and I mean, Optazar really just showed everybody that they have a chance. I personally just feel that, if I can recall correctly, their draft definitely needs a little bit of help. And it kind of just showed that probably the difference between some of these top three teams and the rest of the teams is the ability to end games, I'd say. Like, if you guys saw the game last week, it was one of those situations where Optasec could have probably taken the first or the third game even, but they just took too long. And that even goes for Conduit Esports Kraken. So it's something to consider, not just for this set, but just all games in general.
Yeah, definitely interested to see how they're going to land. Currently sitting at 3-3, the only even team in the group, so it should be interesting to watch tonight. I do need to push us along, though. Aether schedule from last week, RAR CGF. Clown Gaming Fools taking the 2-1 victory there, locking themselves into first seed in the group. Even if Conduit Ghost wins tonight and CGF loses, the head-to-head just gives the CGF the win, so they will... actually, okay, I shouldn't say that. They don't lock themselves into first, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Oh, effectively locking themselves into first. It is in their own hands at the very least. Anything you want to note from this series, if you were able to pay attention? I mean, CGF is just kind of a top-of-the-table team.
I mean, I'm even surprised Aurora took a game. I mean, yeah. To be honest, I think I predicted a 2-0, but, I mean, good for RAR. I mean... I would be happy just taking a game. Obviously, they wanted the win, but, one game off of an undefeated team is pretty impressive.
I mean, I can't really add much. I've seen RAR play, and I've seen Clown Gaming play, and honestly, Clown Gaming's play everything but clowns, honestly. I think that they're a very competent team. Yeah,
they've looked really, really strong. I actually just realized how weird the playoff race or the first seed race can get in this group too now, and we'll touch on that in a second. But Team Ambition Evolution, Conduit Esports Ghost. Conduit took the 2-0 last week, giving them the head-to-head advantage for second seed right now. Pretty big win there, but I don't even know if this was really expected.
Again, I know people on both teams. I'm pretty close with Team Ambition's top, and then for Ghost, these are old standalone guys that I've known forever. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure I predicted 2-1 for TA or 2-0. But, again, Ghost has a really, really strong roster. Yeah. A lot of players that have been here for a long time. A few of them even winning ZZG Gold before. So, yeah. Again, I was surprised it was a 2-0, but still, I could have saw it going either way. It's not that surprising for me.
I mean, just like you guys said, there's not really that like I said, I'm relatively new to the league, and I usually like to make very noted opinions, at least of the players if I know them, and if I don't know them, then I just talk about the games for what I've seen, and I haven't seen that much from these people, so I'm just going up by this standings, and yeah, sounds about right.
Next up, last week, Revolution, De-Evolution, TD Aftermath. TD taking the 2-1 victory. kind of expected, but maybe not in 2-1 fashion.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like obviously TD. I mean, they're right next to each other. I don't think it's that insane to think that this would have been a 2-1. Again, they're right next to each other in standings. I don't know a lot of these players. I know Buckby on TD Aftermath, great guy. I know Jester, great guy. But again, they're right next to each other in standings. Is not that big of a surprise for me.
Yeah, I mean, in games like this where it's a best of 3, I'd say that sometimes teams just drop games, or people sometimes have the ability to choke sometimes. And when your team is not knowledgeable enough in order to have a solid win condition, a lot of things can be thrown into the air. So I'm not surprised the team like TD Aftermath could have dropped the game like that.
Yeah. But that does wrap up, finally, the talk about last week's games.
No, I want to congratulate Grumpy Bears on their first series win. It might have been an FF, but let's go.
They FF'd the series, so...
It still counts. Oh, they FF'd the series.
Yeah, they FF. No.
It says SLS right here, Shining Light.
Yeah, Shining Light Sentinels. They got the 2-0.
Oh, okay, never mind. Sorry.
You read the schedule wrong. That's toxic.
I'm a dummy. I'm sorry.
All right, moving on. Yeah, I wasn't going to bring it up, but yeah, unfortunate FF win last week. That does happen from time to time. This week, I do want to touch on, we talked a little bit, Revolution Reimagined, DDL, the playoff implications that can come through here. Dorado wins this. They basically lock themselves into first. I don't think Going Ghost can catch them, and Going Ghost has the head-to-head, so DGL would be first seed in that situation. Rev, if they win this, they have a chance to contest for ODZ, so for 7th seed, which could be big. I think we're all in agreement, though. DGL heavy favorites in this matchup.
100%. I'm going to be honest. Dorado's probably going to 2-0 them, but, just for the spiciness, I would love to see Rev winning, but I can't have Copium this time. No, it's 2-0 Dorado, 100%.
That happens. I'm the guy that has to figure out the standings as a result, so we'll see. Yeah, Comboster, your quick prediction here.
I mean, quick prediction. I've seen Dorado Gaming Lambda play. I really like their style. Revolution Reimagined, I don't know if it's tainted by their sister team, Revolution Devolution. Not too big of a fan, but I think Dorado Gaming Lambda's gonna win it 2-0.
All right. Next up, NSG Amethyst, Shining Light Guardians. Both these teams 2-4. Shining Light needs to win this to beat out Amethyst, like you were saying before, Taco. Where are you going with this? Who's winning this series?
Looking at the rosters, I really hope Guardians got their player registrations in, because if not, they don't have a roster to play with. But this one's a really tight one. Again, they're so close in the standings that I can see it going either way. I'm gonna have a little hopium because I know some of the people over at Shining Light, Philip especially. I think he's involved with ZCG as well. Yep. So I'm going to give his boys, just out of respect, the edge. I'm going to go 2-1 for Shining Light.
I'm completely impartial. There's always something not good about having a completely new roster from the ground up. We've seen this in pro play. We've seen this everywhere. Just because a player individually is good doesn't mean that you're going to work together as a team. So I think that NSG Amethyst, just because they have the team, the boys together, the boys can sometimes be better than the individual legends. NSG Amethyst, 2-1, I'd say. 2-1.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that for sure. Next up, Tenebris Esports Eternity, Conduit Esports Kraken. Tenebris 5-1, Conduit 3-3. Again, Tenebris needs to win this series, kind of. So hope they will, maybe. Yeah.
I think they need to win. It needs to be a 2-0, right, for them to contest first.
It's a mess.
We don't really know. It always gets messy towards the end of the season.
We'll say something, it'll be wrong, and then we'll have to correct it later, and people get mad at us for tonight. Yeah.
Just for the Cobium, I want Kraken to take a game here, just to piss off Tenebris a little bit. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 2-1 for Tenebris. I still think they beat Kraken, but I think Kraken, just to put a thorn in their side, take a game.
I personally think that Kraken, after seeing them, they have the ability to win games. My fear is that sometimes they can drag it on for too long, and that's when good teams are able to come back. Because at the end of the day, League is not a game of like the strongest bonds, it's a game of like the weakest links, and I think that Nevers, as long as they hold on, they could win it 2-0. I'm expecting a 2-0, especially with all the stakes going on. Sorry, Brennan.
Yeah, well, we'll see. If the standings come through, I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun discussions about that in our admin chat later. But I do need to push us along. Going Ghost off the Za. Going Ghost currently 5-1 as well. Off the Za 1-5. Kind of the same story as the Rev Dorado series, at least in terms of the win-loss records. So pretty big must-wins for both teams.
Correct. I'm gonna go 2-1 for Going Ghost, just so that MXL has to do more work.
You're man.
Avtasa Going Ghost. No, I think Going Ghost is gonna take it 2-0. I'm gonna be honest. I like their team. Their team is tight. Avtasa, I like them, but they showed me that they can drag games for too long, and if Going Ghost is aware of that, they can easily go ahead and either go a late game comp to always come back, or just an early game comp and just crush them. That's what I think. Again, I don't know what's gonna happen.
All right, we're going to move on over to tonight's featured division, at the very least. We'll save the streamed game for last per the norm, but Clown Gaming Fools Team Ambition Evolution 6-0, 5-1. TA Evolution win this. They knock Clown down a peg. However, they have to win 2-0 to be able to take the head-to-head as the tiebreaker. So, what that means, Clown Gaming Fools, 1 game win. They lock themselves first seed. What's happening?
Again, I can't give it a 2-0 to TA. I love you, CH. You're role swapping the jungle. You're going into the woods. Maybe one of your last series in the top lane, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to give it 2-1 to Clown. I think they maybe take a game, but I don't think there's any way that Clown doesn't win a game in this series.
Exactly. Say pretty much the same thing, just with a different font. I think that Clown Gaming Fools is going to take it, whether they win it 2-1 or 2-0. I actually think that they're going to win it 2-0 just because they're really feeling themselves right now, and I really like their play style, so they definitely want to end this with a bang.
Yeah, and again, they take a game, they lock first. Does not matter if they lose the series. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on that for sure. Next up, RAR Revolution De-Evolution. RAR sitting at 2-4, Rev at 1-5. Kind of just a battle for gauntlet seeding at this point, but the higher up you go, the better chance you got of getting out.
I don't ever like siding with RAR, but I'm going to give RAR a 2-1 here. I think their players are stronger. I think Doki's playing, but, maybe he can pull out some shenanigan Smite TP plays or Smite Ignite, whatever he runs.
Yeah, he doesn't
nowadays.
do Smite TP anymore.
I don't know. I never like siding with RAR, but I'm going to give it to RAR here.
I'm just more knowledgeable with RAR. I feel like RAR at least knows what they're doing, even though what they're doing is not that great. But if you know what you're doing, then at least you're in the right place. I'm gonna say that RAR is gonna win 2-1. It's gonna be a close match though.
All right, Conduit Esports Ghost, SNC Grumpy Bears, Conduit 5-1, SNC 06. I'm assuming Conduit just kind of smashes this series realistically, it's
either they get a 2-0 from them playing, or Grumpy Bears is gonna FF again. Who knows? Either way, it's gonna be a 2-0 for Conduit.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I mean, the only positive score that Grumpy Bears has is that they won 1 game out of the whole series. Not a 1 match, like 1 game.
Yeah.
So I'd say that they're probably, if anything, they're just gonna play Clash this weekend, and then that's all they're gonna do as a team, if anything.
Clash gamers.
And they did take that win off of RAR, for the record, which...
True.
That's a dub. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see if that does end up coming through. I believe even if Conduit 2-0s, because they've already played CGF, there is no world where they can get first seed. CGF would be tied, even with a 0-2 loss tonight, with... Actually, it might get messy because of TAE. We'll get into
We'll
it.
figure it
You're
out.
getting in your own head. You're getting way too much in your own
It's
head.
well, I'm trying to do math on the fly. I should have done this earlier. TD Aftermath, Shining Light Sentinels, tonight's featured matchup. Both these teams
Ooh.
fighting for a pretty hefty spot in that gauntlet at this point. SLS, you win, you lock yourself into the very last match of the gauntlet. TD Aftermath wins, things get a lot more spicy.
Again, just so MXL has to do more work, I'm going to go 2-1
You're
TD
such an
Aftermath.
ass.
I just want him to do the most amount of work possible. I don't care who wins. I just want MXL to do more work, so...
Just to pretend to be the voice of reason and look like I'm actually know what I'm doing, I'm just going to say that Shining Lights is probably going to have the better shot just by looking at the standings and their players. So I'm going to say that Shining Light Sentinels is going to take it. I'm going to say a 2-0 actually.
I hope so. We're
I have
gonna
a
see
feeling.
what
I have a
happens.
feeling.
It'll be an interesting series to say the least. Last second thoughts I want to get from you guys before we take this to a quick intermission. Where are we looking on the map? What is the main focus in this series? I know for myself, provided I have the right Shining Light roster, because I always confuse the two, my eyes are going to be drawn to the bot lane, see what's going to happen there, because Wrath's a pretty good AD. I know Rango likes playing pretty aggressive as well, so there's a chance something interesting happens as a result of the jungle matchup, but where are you guys looking at realistically in this series?
I'm going to be looking at mid lane, specifically because of Buckby. I played against Buckby in EGL, RIP EGL, you know. But he pulls out some weird stuff in the mid lane. I don't know if he's still doing it, but I have nightmares of his AD Jarvan mid. So I'm going to be looking mid. I want Buckby to pull out some spicy stuff for their gauntlet seeding.
Well, personally, I'm not going to be looking at any lanes necessarily just because, again, I'm not that knowledgeable with everybody. What I want to be looking at is the draft, because the draft will tell me how comfortable each player is right now, how comfortable they are with teamwork, and how organized they are. Because sometimes people just like to look at a tier list and just pick all the characters that are in the S tier, and that doesn't usually mean victory. So I want to see their wits outside of the field rather than in the field.
All right, we'll have to see what's going to end up happening tonight. TD Aftermath, Shining Light Sentinels. We're going to take a short break before we get this game onto your screens, brought to you by me and Comboster. We're going to just kick Taco Cat away, but thank you all for tuning in. We'll catch you for game 1 right after the break. Welcome back, everybody, for what promises to be quite a banger of a series tonight. I am MXL, once again joined by Comboster and Sentinels, TD. It's kind of a big deal tonight. This is a big series to determine where you're going to end up in the gauntlet. We touched on it a little bit in the pre-show. Shining Light, you win this series, you are guaranteed 4th seed. You are guaranteed to be top of the gauntlet, the final boss, so to speak, to get into that last playoff spot. TD Aftermath, they win tonight, they could shake up the standings quite a bit.
Yeah, they can definitely shake them up, but right now, we're just gonna jump right into the draft pick. We have a Swain ban, we have a Kai'Sa ban, a Darius ban, and a Lux ban. So you can definitely see the priorities going on. You can see the draft, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Cool.
I'm a little upset. Kai'Sa ban always concerns me. I think it says a lot if you're banning this champion to either the opposing AD carries power onto this champion, or if you're just scared of it. But Kai'Sa's not in a good spot right now, so very interested to see that being banned away. And Misfortune, arguably the most broken AD carry on the patch, being left open.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that, you know how they always say that tier lists don't really matter in lower leagues, so this might be a case of that. At the end of the day, listen, you can be playing, like I said before, you can be playing an S tier champion, but if you just picked it just because it's there, it's not always a good thing. Now, a very good combo that I know of is Hecarim Rakan. Hecarim able to scatter everybody across Rakan. He loves a little bit of chaos, you know, nobody really focusing him and then just getting a nice setup. The question is, what type of setup are these two champions going to lead into?
Remember how I said Misfortune's the most broken AD carry on the patch?
Yeah.
So Hecarim might be the most broken champion on the patch. This is one of the most ridiculous characters in the game currently.
Yeah.
There's a build going around with Eclipse where you press Q 3 times and no matter what's on the enemy team, they're all dead. So
Oh, I want to see that.
Jesus, man, solo queue is a wild place, but this build has been popping up a lot more frequently. You are still incredibly tanky. You are so hard to cut through. You have that engage potential. You have the one-shot potential, the skirmish, the dueling, the team fighting. There is so much that this champion can do. So to see this being left open and given over to red side, of course, you end up with that MF Hecarim trade, but if Hecarim gets off the ground at all, it is going to be so hard to shut him down. The Poppy can kind of help against the Rakan, but with Renata into this Aphelios lane now,
Well,
TD's setting up well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. TD Aftermath definitely showing off that they can definitely put up a show and a really good team composition. Poppy has pretty good niche matchups against Hecarim, because I know that Hecarim, if he tries to E somebody while in Poppy range, it gets canceled. So it's just kind of like a little bit of a knowledge check on the side of TD Aftermath. Other than that, Renata Glass, pretty good ultimate, can be a game changer, especially in those tight scenarios like in the jungle or in the dragon pits and everything like that. But also you have people like Hecarim and Rakan that are very slippery. So who knows, depending on how fair the Aphelios gets, I think that Renata is going to be a danger. Other than that, we see three more bans. We see the Vigor ban, the Surfing ban, Malzahar ban, and finally we will see what Shining Light Guardians are going to ban.
Ooh, okay. I actually really like this ban too if this comes through. One of the big things that Mordekaiser can do is, well, A, provide an AP source from top lane. So if you want to run an AD mid, say, I don't know, a Yasuo here with Rakan Hecarim would be pretty strong. You can end up just taking the Mordekaiser blind here, pick your AD mid last. This denies probably the best AP top laner. Malphite going to come in as well, so even more Wombo setup. But right now my concern is what's the damage profile going to be? And with TD, actually they're running Infernosk today, so maybe something interesting comes through. We mentioned Buckby on the desk, but Buckby normally is kind of that Orianna player, could have seen that coming through. I'm interested to see if Infernosk will decide on that as well. Assuming Shining Light here will select their solo laners. Gwen into the Malphite. Sure. Blind mid, what are you expecting to see here?
Honestly, I really like the Gwen just because the Malphite changes really favor the AD matchups. But Gwen does magic. She just does damage, but mostly it's magic damage. So
Magic
I really
and
like,
true.
yeah, magic and true. Magic is true. I also like the Gwen pick here, just against Aphelios, but again, you have 3 melee champions, so I don't know how much her little ghost thing is.
This is a beautiful pick. I love seeing the Sylas come through constantly, and it kind of shores up a lot of the draft concerns I had with Shining Light's comp, because what starts a fight for their team? Where's the Wombo for the MF? Well, how about Malphite? Right? Like, you can just be a Malphite R now, and depending on what Sylas build we end up seeing, could be interesting to see what the damage profile will be. I would actually like to see Leandries this game if you're listening, but Talia, locked in. Really good matchup into the Sylas, and you got that roam potential.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to mention too. It's one of those things where you kind of ask yourself, what's more beneficial, the team composition or the lane matchup? And when playing against Sylas, it doesn't matter how good your team is. If Sylas is remotely ahead, or even, he will just destroy. So I really like that they went more for the laning potential and everything. But at the end of the day, Sylas can still pop off if the right pilot is behind the wheel.
Yeah, notably, Sylas can also steal Talia R and have that same kind of roam potential, maybe even a little stronger, a little more reliable, I would say, in terms of actually landing some of that CC. Definitely in landing the damage. Talia's all skill shot based, right? But we'll have to see. I know people like playing Sylas into things like the Twisted Fate for being able to steal that ultimate away, get across the map as a result, or even follow in those kind of roam plays coming out from the opposing mid laner. So a lot of interesting nuance that can come through in this game. You mentioned one pretty big thing, though. Aphelios needs to be able to kind of hit and do some decent damage this game, I would say. Cleanse is kind of a must, then, when you're against Renata Glask, no?
You know, yes, I actually agree with you. I don't think Aphelios should be remotely running anything other than Cleanse. I think this is going to be mostly an ego thing of saying, okay, I should just take Cleanse, or Cleanse, what is that? I'm just going to take Exhaust because I want to win the 1v1s or something like that. I mean, yeah, it happens.
I think the only other option, realistically, is Ghost into Gwen Sylas, but it works well against Renata R. It's a really slow projectile. You can run away from it. Sure, we'll see. Of course, you would only realistically be cleansing Renata R or Poppy E. Maybe if you go Gale Force to the ground, like it feels really bad.
You could also cleanse the Sylas if he goes whatchamacallit, the glacial.
If he takes Rakannar.
Or
Everfrost.
Or Everfrost, yeah. Alright, but anyway.
But I feel like if you're getting Everfrosted, you're dead anyway, so.
I guess you're right. Well, listen, I don't know what's gonna go after for sure, but what I know for sure is that we have our post-draft from ProComps. And ProComps, of course, is gonna tell us that the side of the Sentinels is going to give us a split push composition. I can kind of see that. And then on the side of TD Aftermath, we have a Engage. And, I mean, you have Malphite on the team, you have Rakan on the team, you have Hecarim on the team.
Hell, you have Aphelios on the team. You have Purple Gun, you have Blue Gun for follow-up damage. Like, there is so much team fight. It is ridiculous. But you mentioned, you know, the game style tactics right in the middle of the screen there. The big thing for me, honestly, that I like looking at here, game styles and scaling. Early game is abysmal for the side of TD. SLS, you got the MF Renata, you have the Sylas. The Poppy jungle is a pretty good early ganker as well. They got to get rolling early, or that mid-game spike coming in from TD is going to catapult them into that late game.
Honestly, like I said, it's up to the... I personally think that it's just going to be up to the Talia holding this Sylas back, just making him question his life decisions of why I picked Sylas, even though it looked like such a good option here. It's going to be up to the Poppy getting those nice early ganks against an Aphelios that's not really going to one-shot you. Or it's also going to be... I mean, top lane... I think top lane is just going to be a handshake. It's just going to be like a 50-minute handshake. So, other than that, I don't think... I think that's all there is to it. Poppy should be hovering bot if I was that player. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're playing through bot half of the map regardless. You're into the Silas, who has that set up with the Abscond Abduct. You have the Renata set up with that Handshake as well. You have a really strong bot lane. You can even just play for invades, right? If you invade Hacker him, shut him down early, could be a fairly strong angle. Not going to have mid prio, but you should have bot prio in this lane pretty easily.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see. Of course, if you like this little breakdown, shoutouts to ProComps, this season's sponsor for Zero Gravity Gaming. Use promo code ZGG for 50% off your first 3 months of a premium subscription. But we are going to take a short break. Before we hop onto the Rift, game number 1, Shining Light Sentinels, TD Aftermath. A spot in the gauntlet awaits the victor. Well, a higher spot, I guess I should say. But we will see who's going to take game 1 of the series right after the break. Welcome back, everybody, to game number 1 of the game number 2.
Yeah, listen. It's not that late into the night, Brennan.
Day. I've been up since 5 a.m. Anyway, game 1, TD Aftermath, Shining Light Sentinels. We mentioned it. Shining Light has to get off the ground earlier. This game is going to feel really bad for them going forward. Banana Soul coming in for the top lane. Vaughn, Kairos, Wrath, and Phantom rounding out the rest of the roster. And over on the red, Viking, Church of Rango, Infernosk subbing in for mid, Alpha, and the Fat Jester, which, by the way, is a glorious name. I absolutely love that.
Pretty good name. 7 out of 10 IMO. Now, here's the thing. I really like that Talia pick first strike here. I know that Talia usually likes to pick first strike, but against a melee matchup, it's just a must. Like, you're always gonna be the one getting the first strike. But at the same time, it gets you a lot of gold. It scales really nicely into the matchup rather than just going something like Arcane Comet or Airy. I think it's a really solid option. Any runes that just pop out of the screen for you?
Honestly, the only one that like looks a little funky to me is honestly Conqueror Hecarim. I actually really like the Phase Rush build. I think it feels a lot better.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Conqueror has a little more damage, I think, in extended skirmish, so it makes sense if you're looking for those extended fights. Aphelios with that fleet footwork as well.
Also with the
I'm
heal.
a huge lethal tempo fan. Yeah, okay. Stop going heal on AD carry. This summoner spell is really bad. It's almost never worth it. Just go Ghost if you want to move fast. Go Exhaust if you don't. And if you're in a game where there's Renata, go Cleanse. Like that's it. That's the tier list of how to take runes as an AD carry.
Also,
But,
as we see, Hecarim already going for the vertical jungle option. Poppy already knowing this, opting to go for the handshake vertical jungling as well. I mean, honestly, the thing is that Hecarim just has such an insanely fast clear speed. And it's not because he's fast, it's just that he has a lot of AoE attacks.
Well, and notably, Grand Entrance comes in, Handshake comes through as well. Alpha, though, gonna be able to use that Q, try and get a little bit of damage. Wrath is gonna be taken low. Flash forward from Jester will find the first blood in the 2v2 bot side. Everything just going horribly wrong. Phantom tries to trade back, will be forced to flash away. Poppy in the area, though. Jester goes back in with the Grand Entrance. Auto's coming through the Ignite down onto the Rakan. Fat Jester, a beautiful flash from Alpha cancels out that charge from Vaughn. And TD's bot lane gets away with murder.
Call this man Mr. Clean. That was such a good flash. I want the ping of this Aphelios. That you need some good ping for that flash.
Someone was pinging ping earlier. It was Silas, whatever. Phantom, though. Grand Entrance comes through. The Gravitum Gun, it will get that root down, but the Exhaust from Wrath comes down as well. Heal being burned by Alpha. Vaughn is back. Jester should be falling soon. The charge lands onto the minion, but Vaughn does not care. Finds the kill. Jester going to be taken low, and the double up finds that last kill. Wrath trading back another one, so 2 kills going back over to SL Sentinels.
A little bit even in gold, 200 above in gold for the Misfortune. I don't really know if it's gonna be... It even thinks out, that's what I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, well, before all the action started in the bottom lane, I was going to mention that vertical you were talking about kind of heavily benefits Shining Light, in my opinion. You ended up having that ability for Poppy to show on the bottom side, and Gwen is a really, really safe weak side top laner. There's not really a punish for Rango in that lane. Your mid lane, there's no gank potential either. So sure, you get that vertical, but I feel like it was beneficial to SL. They just kind of fumbled the playbook there a little bit.
Yeah, I actually have to agree with you. Gwen is just so safe. It's annoying. She's annoyingly safe. That's the way that I'll put it. But yeah, I mean, Hecarim just known for, like we said, the vertical jungling, but sometimes it can be used against. You know, sometimes it's just a better option to be bot side than top side, and you just have to know what lane is going to win you the game. And speaking of winning.
We'll see. A Ghost being popped here. Viking is out of mana. The snips come through, but Banana Soul finds the kill through the flash as well. Beautiful solo kill, realistically, happening up in the top side, but a little overeager, I would say, from Viking on that Malphite.
Yeah, Malphite's one of those champions that really runs out of mana real fast, and if your opponent sees that you have no mana, you should probably back up. You have teleport, so just teleport back. There's no shame in that.
There is a very famous Tyler 1 clip that I cannot recite, but
I know what
if you don't have mana, you lose fights, is the moral of the story here. So not too surprised by that one. Of course, Banana Soul now taking over to that level 6, has access to that Needlework, which just shreds through frontliners like this Malphite as Vaughn looking for it. Needlework does come down. Banana Soul will find the resets coming through on that. Vaughn looking for the wall stun, will not find it quite yet. Actually, burns the charge backwards. Ooh. Viking, no ult, no flash, no life left. And Vaughn picks up the second kill of the game for this Poor well, great Poppy, I guess.
So this is not. This is not good for Viking. I know that he's first of all, he's going poke. He's not going as tanky, or if he's gonna pick tank, I don't know what you would just go something like Grasp of the Undying or something like that. But now you lost TP, you have no TP, no flash, and there is a Gwen just freezing in front of her turret. This must be really painful to just to be in Viking's perspective.
Rango hovering around the bot side. Oh my gosh. This is really awkward. So, I don't know what to say here. Kairos disconnects right as it looks like TD is looking for the play. So, I'm interested to see what's going to end up happening here. Hopefully it's a quick pause, because this is a weird timer for this to happen.
Man, just the state of the map. They have no vision at all.
Yeah. Well, and look where Rango's at, right? Like, this is a beautiful angle for Hecarim. There is no response. MF has no summoners. Like, even coming out of this pause, Jester hits this W every time. This MF is not getting out of this alive. Like, the setup is already here. The setup is gone. It's happened. She's already dead on my screen, is the moral of the story. So hopefully this is a relatively quick pause. We can get back into the action.
Man,
this is a tough look.
It's like in one of those action movies where there's like so much tension, and you as the viewer, you already know what's gonna happen, and then they just cut to like another scene, and you're just like, come on, just show me, like you know it's gonna happen, but you want to see it happen.
This is like that thing that like really, really bad TV shows do, where it's like, we're gonna leave you on a cliffhanger that you know exactly how it's gonna resolve, but you wait till next week to find out. It's cool, guys. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, while we have a little bit of chance, let's just take a look at the farm. I mean, as we mentioned before, Gwen just completely overshadowing Viking in farm. Now you're putting a freeze on your opponent. Cannon minion is probably gone already. And then Poppy losing